Why is lead generation on LinkedIn so hard? In this episode, we will dive into how businesses overcome the challenges of lead generation on LinkedIn. Challenges like connecting with your target audience, scaling your efforts, and building consistency in your efforts. How? Through the use of neuroscience. Now, let's dive into the episode.
Hi guys, you are listening to Predictable B2B Success Podcast. I am Marko Pavicic and I connect video marketing agencies and social media marketing agencies with dream clients using LinkedIn and Neuroscience. I help create predictable business success by implementing scientific lead generation and client acquisition services.
Marko, great to have you on the show. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for your invite as well. Glad to be here.
No worries at all. Marko, I'm curious. You have a biotechnology background, but have gone into neuroscience. So what would you say is your personal area of strength?
Well, basically, my college degree actually helped me a lot because during 4 years I learned a lot about brain, how it actually works, chemicals, and how they affect behavior. Right. And basically, this affected my area of expertise in a way that I always enjoyed connecting with people. So I would say that my really best area of expertise is networking, which means connecting with people. And whenever I speak with somebody, my brain already makes connections. How can I connect people who have maybe different needs or goals depending on a specific time frame?
Excellent. And it doesn't come easily to most people, so certainly to most people in business. So what would you say in that area of strength is something that businesses don't know but should?
Yeah, so this is actually a great question. Maybe toward the end of the podcast, I can also share a personal note how actually
Certainly.
This affected my brain from the early age. Going back to your question, it all boils down to one word, which is like something that we hear almost every day, which is superpower. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is that through life, through education, people or teachers always try to surpass this concept of understanding your character, what are you good at, what are you not good at. But basically what I have learned after 16 years of university, high school, middle school, and elementary school is that education system gets it wrong, meaning that you just need to define that one area which you are good at and then build your business or your job around it. So in specific terms, I'm going to maybe share something which is really beneficial for people so that they can understand their superpower. If you agree, which will then help them. If they just apply this concept, it's going to be far more easier for them to connect with people and just build relationships to create this inner satisfaction, hence more profitability in business.
Certainly.
So I'll just use like really specific example from everyday life. For example, how many movies do you watch per month?
Oh, probably 3 or 4.
So like 3 or 4, this is if average movie is around 2 hours, 6 hours per month, which is a significant amount of time to relax yourself in your free time. And what I have realized is that we can quite easily relate with movie characters, which for example means in my case, my favorite movies are Gladiator and Braveheart, which basically means Mel Gibson and Russell Crowe in these movies unite people in order to fight for freedom of Scotland in 12th century or Roman gladiators in ancient Rome. So through growing up, I easily could relate with their quest, with this power of connecting people, unifying and like just fighting for their own freedom. And when I sat down and when I answered this question, who is my favorite movie character? Share down Mel Gibson, Russell Crowe, then ask myself, why do I appreciate or admire them? Then this answer of seeing their quest for unifying people, connecting them to fight for freedom, was really clear. Mm-hmm. And when I answered this, what I have realized is that this concept of connecting, unifying people was always the common trait. And I have seen in my daily life like for example, in high school or university, whenever somebody needed a job or help with something, I was always this guy who said, okay, hey, wait, I know somebody, let me connect you. And this was the main pattern which appeared to life, which means that you define your favorite movie character, why you admire him or her, and then just sit around and see where you're good at in your ordinary life, meaning what do you enjoy doing, you will see this overlap. And when you understand this, then basically what I have designed, you can name this overlapping pattern, which means that I have designed a framework which I call 3C, which means after making 10,000 plus social connections through last like several years, I have saw a pattern when it comes down to defining your superpower, which we are talking right now about, which means there are creators, connectors, and closers. This means that through life we'll all go through all of these stages of developing our superpower, but there is one area where we are at home, which comes natural to us, like in my case, connecting people, which in your case is maybe connecting or creating content or empathy for people based on what we have spoke before. So for example, creators are people in business terms. These are creative people like designers, architects, marketers, copywriters. So all of these categories which basically have superpowers like empathy, honesty, just let me check my table. So compassion, empathy, openness, honesty, integrity, passion, obsession, trust, vulnerability, which means these people like yourself maybe will always approach things from this emotional side through generating ideas, using imagination, and just expressing themselves through doing a specific thing or project in personal or business life. Then you have connectors who are basically, I'm a connector, which they really value social connection. They really value connecting with people, building relationships, and just seeing how they can make their life easier and life easier for other people just by making simple social connections, which will in the end create more value in personal and business life. So for example, superpowers of these people are, like I already mentioned, unity, which is my superpower, then collaboration, integration, method, structure, organization, gratitude, and resilience. Because what I have realized, for example, a common trait which connectors have, including me, we will many times be so invested with connecting with people that many times we'll put their needs among ours, which means that many times you can feel drained and tired, speaking from personal experience. For example, in your case, in case of creators, they will sometimes put so much emphasis on emotion behind that project or content which they are producing that they will have this, I call it blind spots, which means that if they don't get a good feedback, which may begin on a constructive way, they will feel hurt, like they will feel like this is personal to them because they invested so much emotion into it, which means that through all of these things, like every superhero, there is also a kryptonite downside to this. So I also wanted to mention this because when you understand the superhero side and this kryptonite side, then it's like you see the complete picture, and then basically it's easier to balance between. And the final category are closers. In simple terms, these are sales guys. These are CEOs, managers, leadership experts, all of the people who are there to, or maybe even fathers if you have family, fathers in personal life, which means that at the end of the day, when maybe you need to do something, closers are the guys who will finish that line and do the whole process. So their superpowers are empowerment, loyalty, simplicity, calm, clarity, fearlessness, directness, and persistence. Because in order to get something done, for example, close a business deal, or from the other side, support a specific person in your personal life, it really takes a lot of loyalty, or patience, which means that you really need to, in many times, be calm and really understand the needs of other person and put it below yours in that equation. But this means that you will just, instead of attacking somebody, you will just ask why. And this is like the good salespeople will always ask why, or dig in order to find problems rather than just pitching and doing many stuff like people are doing today. What I'll see drawbacks of closers is that many times they will focus so much on numbers, stats, and logic that it's really hard for them to express emotions, which means going just forward and just closing deals or closing projects really comes natural to them. But when they need to slow down, say, okay, thank you, I feel gratitude toward yourself, or thank you for doing a job. Yeah. It's just hard for them to say it because, you know, they will feel like their vulnerability comes really hard for them. So yeah, this is, I would say, this overall concept which basically transformed my life, because what happens when you understand in which category mainly or you are, then it will come really easy for you to understand other people, which means, for example, now when I meet people like yourself, I already know that you are a creator. Or if I connect with maybe my clients who run their businesses, I know that there are many types closers, which means that what I can do as a lead generation expert or people who, or a person who really appreciates relationships, is really asking myself, how can I make the life easier for people that I interact with my superpower? Also having in mind my drawbacks, which is, like I said many times, putting needs of other people instead of mine.
Certainly. So just to be clear, could you define what a superpower is? That'll just help the listeners with wrapping their heads around the concept.
So basically, the superpower is that one specific thing which you enjoy doing and which helps you enter into flow zone. Which means, for example, in your case, let's give an example. You maybe enjoy writing content, which means that science behind this is that you enjoy creating ideas and putting it into words in order to show it to somebody. For example, designers enjoy drawing. They enjoy using Photoshop. Then, for example, connectors like myself, also my example, the best thing which I enjoy doing is just sitting around, having my piece of paper, listing down who can I connect today to make easier life to that person. For example, closers will see, okay, what specific things can I close today or finish in order to move to the next thing, which means based on what I have and research what I have done, just ask yourself, okay, at this point in life, I do this thing in business. What is that one thing which I most enjoy doing? Because when you understand this, then basically this is the foundation of, I would say, your entire days, because this gives meaning to your life. Hope maybe that this gives more clarity on your question.
Certainly. So you're bringing this aspect of combining superpowers with social connection as a LinkedIn lead generation strategy. LinkedIn is obviously a social media platform.
Yes.
But what would you say is lacking in people's approach to the platform?
Yes. Great question. Basically, why I love my superpower is because, as you know, many times through life we'll hear this saying, humans are social beings. Humans are social beings. We cannot live in isolation. Like the biggest punishment for somebody is living in isolation, which means there's a specific part of the brain called social brain, which influences our innate ability to connect with people. And when we put this, we integrate this with superhero concept, which I mentioned. This means, for example, when you write a good piece of content, first of all, the first thing which you want to do is to share it with other people. Because if you don't share it with other people, then it's just a piece of content which you wrote, but it doesn't have a value in your mind until you get the reactions from other people. And whenever you have this urge, as like one neuroscientist which my mentor calls it, information DJs. When you understand your superpower, so product of your superpower, which in your case is content, in my case, making connections, then what we need to do, we need to show this to other people. In terms of LinkedIn, your profile is, for example, your superpower, meaning how you present yourself there. And then what LinkedIn actually does, it gives you an ability to connect with other people. And basically, when people are not aware of their superpower and this innate ability to connect with people, what happens? Many times when you, first of all, there are like a couple of things. Maybe one, you will not approach anybody because you will feel, this is like the first consequence. You feel that your work is not worthy because you don't know your superpower, lack of self-confidence, self-worth, and this goes on. Then the second thing is maybe you will connect with people, but you will do it in approaching, you will be salesy or pitchy. Mm-hmm. And what I have realized through my experience, even this is also my example when I started. I really enjoyed connecting with people, but the messages will always go like, hey, this is my service. Do you like to help me? Can I help you? Which means that if you don't understand your superpower and your innate ability to connect with people, you will approach salesy or pitchy. And this is something which I feel, based on some statistics which I read, 75% of people on LinkedIn do. Mm. And then basically you have the third biggest challenge, which is, okay, you want to connect with people, messaging is maybe a little bit better, but then in terms of your podcast topic, if you don't have consistency with connecting with people, approaching them, providing value, you will not have predictable business success. Because if you want to have predictable number of clients, you need to understand, okay, today I need to connect with this amount of people, deliver this amount of value, which will then generate this amount of meetings, hence clients and revenue in the end. So to wrap it up, three main challenges are, first of all, not reaching out to people, because when you don't understand your superpower. Then the second one, if you approach, you become salesy or pitchy, which means that you understand your superpower, but you don't understand that people don't want to hear how can you help them, but basically how can you make their life better using your superpower. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing is, if you understand superpower concept and that you can connect with people and people really seek connection, use it consistently. And this is the main challenge with which, for example, my clients have, or I would say almost every industry is today, because if you don't have consistency in approaching people, making connections, then there is no guarantee that you will have meetings and clients in the end.
Sure. So if quite fundamentally we need to discover our superpower, how would we go about doing it? Because not everyone may know what comes so easily to them or would have identified that. What are ways in which we could go about?
So basically, I opened my doc, so I'm going to share you like four specific questions which people can do in order to go through this, and I will also share this in the show notes of this interview, so people can just enter it and define their superpower within 10 minutes. So, like I said before, there are like 4 questions which you need to ask yourself. Mm-hmm. So, 1, who is your favorite movie, book, or real life character? In my case, Gladiator and William Wallace. Then, why I admire him or her? Which means that this question is going to give you inspiration to see, okay, what are these specific things which I admire in that person? And then the third question is, what does he or she want to achieve? This actually means that if you understand, okay, I admire this person, I know why, but life is always a quest for something. Mm-hmm. And in terms of, I will go back to Mel Gibson and Russell Crowe. They wanted to become free, which means that their entire movie is based on, okay, how are they going to become free? In terms of maybe, for example, my case, how can I build in the long run predictable 7-figure business using lead generation and LinkedIn? Maybe in your case is, okay, how can I have the best B2B podcast in the world? Just an example. Yeah. And then the final question is, what is that one thing which makes him or her unique and different? So, in terms of Mel Gibson and Gladiator, there were hundreds of Scottish people in that period, but just Mel Gibson managed to unify them. There were like so many gladiators in ancient Rome, but Russell Crowe was the only guy who managed to put them into a group in order to become free. In your case, there are so many marketers who know about content and who know about B2B, but you are the guy who has a really successful podcast focusing on B2B success predictability. Which means basically when you answer all of these questions, you will see, like I said, some specific keywords will appear. And then basically, when you answer this, you will see this, like I mentioned before, creators, connectors, closers. So I have it like a table where when you answer these questions before, you just enter into the table and see what superpower.
Right. Okay.
So basically, it's like I said, it takes you 10 minutes. Apologies if I maybe give. I feel that maybe I can give maybe so much more theory about it, but the process is like really, really easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes sense to me now, and I think if we have the sheet for
I will share it.
It would clear things up as they listen to the podcast. That's terrific. So, once we've discovered our superpower, how would we go about changing our LinkedIn profile and making it better to attract the sorts of people that we wish to connect with?
Great. So I'm going to be really specific here because I have listed down a couple of things. So I will focus on headline and about page because these are basically the main things which you need to have good on your profile, because if you don't catch people's attention on this thing, people are going to go out. So in the headline, a specific thing which you can see also on my profile, and this is a practical tip already. So using statement like connecting A plus B to help C, which means in my case, connecting Neuroscience and LinkedIn to help video production companies.
Right.
And why is this? Because if you reached out to me and some other people for podcast interviews or even my clients, because they'll feel intrigued, okay, LinkedIn and Neuroscience, which means that I just connected two things which are not maybe not that different on the first thing. So for example, in terms of my clients, I had one client where we just said connecting consciousness with video to create high engaging content. Why consciousness and video? Because he was in a space selling video services to guys like Wim Hof, Jason Silva, and Ryan Bille, Tom Bille, all of these big motivational speakers. Which means their keywords are, okay, how going to affect my consciousness? Maybe to give it some, let's say example for your case, connecting storytelling and content marketing or something like that, which means having one part which triggers emotional part of the brain and one part which actually triggers logical part. In my case, neuroscience is, okay, this is something emotional brain, while LinkedIn is, okay, I know, platform, social media. And then when you understand this, to who do you help? Because, for example, video production companies, which means when I connect with these people, when they land on my profile, they will immediately see, okay, LinkedIn Neuroscience helping me. So they will easily identify with what I do. Any questions?
No, that's a very simple formula that I think most people can wrap their minds around. So that's very helpful. So that would be the main headline.
Yes.
What are the sorts of things that you would suggest people put into their I think it's a bio section or the about section? I'm already going on that. One more thing regarding cover photo and profile photo. It's always good to emphasize profile photo, something professional, clean, not maybe you on swimsuit or something like that. And cover photo, if you have like maybe logo of your business, or maybe, for example, in your case, if you have been featured on big publications, list that down, which means this cover photo can also be a good source of credibility. Going back to about page, I have tested a lot of concepts, and basically I'm just going to share the last one, which I feel really
is the simplest way how to resonate with people, because as you may know, the one thing which is fixed for the last centuries in regards to relationships between people is always this referral or recommendation phase, which means if somebody is going to work with you, hey, can you tell me something about this guy? Or if you are searching for something, is always asking your close circle of friends in personal life or in business. Why is this important for about page? Because on the first sentence, what I have seen that works the best. In the first sentence, list down in form of a question a specific problem which you resolve for your clients. So in my case, this is something like, do you feel struggle when it comes to having consistency with generating leads and meetings? Mm-hmm. If you recall, if we mentioned previous part of the call, because the biggest questions were consistency with generating leads and referrals. Then when you had listed down this question, in the next sentence, answer shortly how you managed to do it. So in my case, it's something like, I help video production agencies who are stuck with using traditional marketing agencies or referral sources, and I help them create a sales system to consistently generate leads and clients. Which means a question and answer. And just one thing, because science has proven, and when people have many choices to do, or maybe they see many problems listed in your profile, they'll be stuck. And then instead of acting like clicking send message, they will be, this person does a lot of things, but I just have one hot problem right now. Yeah. And when you have defined this question, challenge in form of a question, then a specific sentence how you resolve it, then the best thing is simply identifying what person gets after working with you, like 3 or 5 bullet points, but specific. In my case, define your superpower within 10 minutes. Get your profile of your dream client within 7 minutes. Get a specific framework how to consistently connect with your dream clients. Then get a proven method how to convert conversations into leads and meetings. And then finally, get a proven method how to use your existing contacts to build a referral engine, just on top of my mind. So when you identify challenge, solution, specific things which people get, but really specific things in terms of what they can measure. Because, okay, superpower and dream client, it's not something measurable, but when I say consistent system for generating leads, meetings, clients, or referrals, this is something which they can feel or even touch. And then I would say the main part which I don't see many times on LinkedIn, because when you see this experienced manager with Microsoft Office history or something like that, instead of that, just, of course, if you have some if you have some good client stories, write 2 or 3 social proofs of your clients, meaning write 2 or 3 sentences how you helped your clients or what they say about you. So for example, in my profile is, if I recall properly, one 7-figure client said, Marco was a big asset to me and my team because he helped us to come from hectic client onboarding system to a really polished system in terms of customer connections, something like that. Basically, so to wrap it up, when you have identified your core challenge which you resolve, a specific solution, what people get or your customers in form of bullet points, and then you have included your previous client success, meaning specific sentence, name of the person and company or maybe market, then it's then what you're actually doing, you are intentionally using this social brain part, which means that if people see, okay, he resolved this challenge, I will get this, okay, some people already got some results, maybe I should reach out to this guy and just maybe ask him how he can help me. So basically, it's, all in all, it's setting up your LinkedIn profile so that it's a tool for you to have automated, I would say, a referral source, which means that whenever somebody goes on your profile, that he will always, he or she, see your results and how can you help him or her to have a better life or business in the end.
Certainly. I'm just also curious about the banner image you've got on your profile. You've got it saying video agency, let's connect and collaborate together.
Yes.
which to me sounds like a great thing to have in your banner ad. But if we are, in your case, if you are looking to collaborate, what would a person expect in terms of collaboration?
Yeah. Good question. So this is actually a good question because I'm testing this new approach. When it means to collaboration, and this is something which I managed to achieve after several years of working on my mindset, and collaboration in my terms means I will always reach out to this person from now on and in the last couple of months by just saying or positioning myself as, here is one challenge which you have, here is the free resource how you can resolve it. Then maybe another one, then engaging with their content, which means collaboration in my terms means, better say collaboration rather than sales or pitching. Because when you say collaborate, integrate, connect, as you can see in my profile, it puts a person more into opening position rather than saying let's connect and work together. So this was like intentionally crafted to support my superpower, which always comes down to connecting or collaborating or integrating people.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but your approach would be, okay, so if someone comes onto your profile, they would want to connect with you, or you would see them and send through a connection request. You would get to know them a little bit. And once understanding their problems, you would then send a suitable resource that could address one or more of their issues.
Actually, good. Basically, what you said, because this is a profound shift, which I'm still, as a salesperson, I'm still adjusting to, which means that before I also had good results, but many times today in sales, you will see, send a follow-up message saying something like, hey, I noticed your post, blah, blah, blah. Do you have 15 minutes for a short chat? But what I have realized for the last couple of months is we live in an age where there's so much information that people get stuck, paralyzed, which means right now to scale my business, what I'm doing is I position myself in a way, okay, this person has challenges. Since I'm in this marketing agency, video production space, I already know what is the structure of 5, 6, and 7-figure business in terms of lead generation and client acquisition, what specific challenges and benefits people or companies have. Which means that what I am doing right now to let my game is they have a list of resources I can share with people. This can be either LinkedIn posts, free PDFs, short videos, whatever. If you understand challenges of their people, of your target clients. And then basically what I do, you approach that person and you see, okay, for example, if person has 6-figure business, one of the main challenges which they have is generating leads with predictability, which means that they need to have a specific system, either through LinkedIn or either maybe through some other channels to consistently connect with people daily in order to generate meetings so they can see the finances with predictability. Then what I will do, I will say, okay, in my library, okay, maybe I will send him how can that person use LinkedIn to generate leads consistently. Short video. Send it over with a link and this is it. Without a call to action, without do you have 15 minutes for a call. Because why? And this is like after years of testing on my own ground, there is this reciprocity which people have in their mind, which means if I give you something for free, I don't ask anything in return, you will feel slightly obliged to give me something in return, which means that I'm just using this principle ethically, because if person from the day one sees, okay, this guy is delivering value, he's just here to help me, what does it cost me to ask him, okay, how can I help him or her, for example, in that case, if this helps.
Yep, certainly. How else would you recommend we think about reaching out to people that have different superpowers?
Yes, actually a good question. I'll divide this answer into 2 parts. One, it all boils down to yourself asking yourself a question, what specific type of relationship I want to have with this person, and then based on that, how am I going to reach out? So let's put it into practical terms. Our relationship between you and me is, I call it strategic partnership category, which means, okay, we have common things toward digital marketing B2B, but we are not client consultant. We are a strategic partner where basically I'm sharing your knowledge with your audience where I really get more visibility. So, like I said, I have a couple of categories. So when I reach out to people, I ask myself, okay, is this person a client, strategic partner, potential referral, or maybe this is elimination, meaning in this time I don't see any way how we can build a relationship. So if this person is a client, then like I said, you can use this approach. And then basically it all boils down either to strategic partner or referral. It all boils down to, if you, for example, let's say your case, so that maybe your audience can understand it. Mm-hmm. Your superpower is creating great content, empathy, storytelling. So if you read somebody's LinkedIn profile, see their website and see like blog posts, you can already say, okay, what works and what does not work. Then basically what people need to hear just from the mindset perspective is applying your superpower to a kryptonite which other person has. So in your case, your superpower is creating great content, either through posts, blog posts, or great interviews. The kryptonite which, for example, a person has is there is no content on their profile or on their website, or maybe there is, but it's the wording is not good. There is no engagement, or there is no consistency. And then basically when you see after research what is their problem, you can just say, hey, I noticed on your profile that your posts are not having a lot of engagement. Here is a 3-step process how you can increase your engagement with 7 minutes of daily action, something like that. Mm-hmm. So it all boils down to your superpower, what is challenges each other person has, and then just using your intuition to provide the best possible resource in that time, how you can deliver value to other person.
Certainly. Okay. This, however, sounds like a very manual and perhaps time-consuming process. Is there any way that we could maybe automate some of it in order to scale our outreach?
So actually, when it comes to this, I will also maybe use your example, since I feel that you're also a long time in business. After several years, you will start to notice trends, patterns, meaning that, for example, if you serve, sales reps, you'll maybe see that after these years, when it comes to creating content by sales reps, the biggest challenge they have is consistency, which means that if you have identified, and this is a practical steps how I do it, identify 5 to 7 common challenges or patterns which you see for your target audience. And then ask yourself, okay, how can I resolve this? And then through one weekend or 1 week, just create maybe 7 to 10 value resources how they're going to help them resolve this. So meaning, how to achieve consistency with creating content. This can be a short video which you can record through Loom or through your webcam, or maybe a 3-page PDF, or maybe a LinkedIn post. So basically, when you have identified your challenges of your target audience, and these, I call it value library, then basically what you can do when you connect with other people through conversation, just using that resource and sending it, which means because challenges are always, I would say, consistent. Mm-hmm. In regards to connection requests, what I have realized is when it comes down to scaling this, I would advise anybody to not use third-party software on LinkedIn. I even don't recall the apps, but if you just type on Google third party, and what will happen? LinkedIn will ban you. This is for sure, because I have read some in the past their terms of service and privacy policy, and they are really rigorous when it comes down to connecting this. So I really applaud you to do this. What you can do is, when you have your lead list prepared, and this is simple, you can do it LinkedIn search bar. For example, if your target audience are lawyers in Australia or lawyers Australia, save this as a search alert. If you can either do this on free version or even on the paid version. And what is cool thing, what people don't understand, every year you have a 30-day free trial period of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is this premium version, which means that what you can do, go into this premium version, define your lead list, and then you can export it to an app called scrap.io, I think that it's called. And basically then when you have defined your lead list, what you can do, if you have a script, which like a couple of scripts which you can use to connect with people, but also using this framework which I said, not something like, and I've learned in the past, hey, notice that you are in video production industry, let's connect. But maybe better something, hey, since you're in video production industry, here's a post how you can get a client with one message. Boom. Link to the post, bam. Which means really try to position yourself from the day one to give value to other people. So when you have identified your lead list and your templates for sending connection requests, then hire a VA. In Australia, Philippines are quite close, or Pakistan, you can actually hire a VA for like $3 or $4 an hour, which means for $4 an hour, you can send between 60 to 70 connection requests per day, which is like, in terms of scaling on LinkedIn, really, really good price.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, that certainly makes sense. In terms of growing this further, I suppose we should also think about having a referral mechanism, because you get the leads, you get the customers, and then you want to fuel that back into the whole lead generation process. What would be a good way to build out your referral engine?
I'm going to share a practical system which I work on, for example, which also creates results for my clients. Mm-hmm. So basically, there are like a couple of steps. Step number one, use a pen and piece of paper and ask yourself, okay, of my existing LinkedIn connections or even Facebook connections, who can maybe help me to get more clients? So for example, I'll take your case. You are in Brisbane, Australia, correct?
Correct.
So for example, let's say that you want to do content marketing for lawyers in Brisbane and circle of, let's say, 200 kilometers. Mm-hmm. Then what you can do is, okay, who do I know from Brisbane who maybe has access to lawyers? Then so the first thing is you will write down from your memory. Then the second aspect, going into your LinkedIn and then just filtering, okay, who are connections from Brisbane inside my network. This can easily be done in search bar. Mm-hmm. You just choose location and see. Then also maybe going to Facebook. And then after this process, you will get at least between 15 to 20 people for whom you feel maybe connection that they can help you. In terms of, for example, lawyers, this is actually a good thing if you're serving lawyers, because a lot of people need lawyers, because legal stuff happens all the time. And then when you have defined these people, then just enter them into Excel spreadsheet, and then ask yourself, what is the desired outcome of this relationship? Maybe for one person it's going to be, maybe this person can connect me with lawyers in Brisbane, but maybe this person, if she has a business in Sydney, maybe she can also connect me with some connectors from Sydney. Mm-hmm. Write this down, and then in terms of messaging, reach out to them either through Facebook or LinkedIn. I would suggest LinkedIn. If there are LinkedIn connections through LinkedIn, Facebook. It's just common sense. Reach out and say something like, hey, thought of you, that person, so I wanted to hear your friendly feedback on idea which I have. Can I call you tomorrow, or do you have some free time? Why? Because if you position yourself from the day one as a person who's going to respect personal space of other person, then that person may say, hey, now I have time, how can I help? But if you go, and this is what I have seen from my example, if you go directly, hey, I thought of you, do maybe have some connections here, can you connect me? People who are in our space will do this, people who are in sales, closers. But if you do this to creators or connectors, based on what I have seen, the results will not be good. And then basically after you reach out, then it's just seeing what other people will reach out or send back. And what I have seen through this process, this is something amazing. Until you don't ask, miracles will not happen. To give you a practical example, I have a client even from Croatia, and I'm not doing it because now I live in Croatia. And I don't do so much work with video production companies in Croatia. And then last Monday, I just asked him, hey, do you maybe know some video production companies? And then his reply was, hey, as a student, I worked with the biggest production companies in Croatia. For this weekend, I'm going to have a beer with this crew after a while. Like then which means what I have learned through this, and this is also experience of my clients, just ask. Maybe because until you don't ask, you will not see results, but we live in this social network and social connection field that everybody knows somebody, which means that maybe in the first instance you will not get value, but after, if you send 20 to 30 messages, you will see that a lot of doors will start to open up.
Certainly. Okay. So my takeaway would be lead with value and provide value consistently.
Yes.
Before you even go about asking for referrals or business from a partner or client.
Yeah. So actually, it all boils down to two parts: type of relationship which you have with a person, and then how you're going to ask it. So, for example, if you have a great client with whom you are working for several years, it's okay to ask, hey, do you know somebody with whom you can connect me? Mm-hmm. For example, in your case, if I'm asking you for referrals right now, or you asking me, it's not a good fit right now. Why? Because we are still developing a relationship. But let's say within 3 to 6 months, when we'll develop a relationship, understand our businesses, then if you ask me or I ask you, it's far more better. So basically, what I would say as a universal formula, until you don't provide between 3 to 4 deposits, like in terms of delivering value or making other people feel great. Mm-hmm. By this, I mean either sharing resources to help them do something better, or even just sharing something like what I do sometimes. Hey, I noticed your post and just felt that your superpower is empathy. Wish you a great day. Which means that you don't need to maybe just focus on delivering value in terms of information or how to apply it, but sometimes a genuine compliment can also make other people feel great. And then if you do it 3 to 4 times through, I would say, 30 to 60 days, then after like this period, it's logical, then this reciprocity kicks in, which means if I said somebody 3 times, hey, this is how we can help you, I can help you, you do this great, and you make him or her feel good, then if maybe 4th time you ask, hey, I noticed that you are in video production industry, do you maybe know somebody from area with whom you can connect me? Then this really works smoothly.
Certainly. So a lot of your approach is based on connections. Obviously, that is your core thing. Would you say that there is value in looking at scaling some of that visibility by creating content, not just on LinkedIn, but outside of LinkedIn as well?
Yes. So I'm going to immediately say I'm not expert in content creation. So what I'm going to say right now is just my personal still developing to the expert level opinion. I feel that yes, what I have realized through LinkedIn, for example, if you post a lot of content in the long run, LinkedIn algorithm is going to give you more space, more visibility, more engagement. And also, in terms of scaling, what I see as the biggest obstacle from one side is, relationships cannot be scaled. They can be scaled to a certain amount, which means you can scale the number of connections which you are going to create every single day. But in order to scale sales in terms of at least this face-to-face thing, if you have a product which seeks communication with clients, I haven't found a way how to scale it, and for my example, I don't want to. But what I can say in terms of scaling, maybe to give your audience an idea, just focus on connections which will give you more value in return. For example, this means today you have an interview with me. If you want to scale your podcast to get more audience, maybe you're going to tomorrow have an interview with, let's say, CEO of Linkfluencer. Alex Piruz, he has the biggest LinkedIn agency in Australia. He has 40,000 followers on LinkedIn, which means in order to scale, just ask yourself, okay, who is this high-level connection which I can make? Which means people who have more audience than I, or people who have big followings, or people who have more valuable connections in terms of maybe access to bigger decision makers, bigger companies, or something like that. This is, I feel, the ethical way how you can scale. So in your terms, this can be interviewing 5 CEOs of big companies who have 40K plus followings on social media and who have a big email list, which means that when they share your interview with their list, like within one move, you can get, let's say, 1,000 new podcast downloads of your episodes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, certainly. Terrific. Marco, what would you recommend we do? Because for some of us, this would be a fairly new concept to grasp and implement. And quite often the challenge is in actually implementing it and being consistent with it. What would be your recommendation in terms of building that consistency? Yes.
So first of all, I need to apologize to people because my drawback sometimes is when I become over passionate about something, I share a lot of information. Let's simplify it right now. The only thing which you need to do is do 2 things after this interview, if you're going to listen to up to now. Define your superpower. Within 10 minutes, you will get the resources in the show notes. Then just ask yourself, okay, with whom do I want to connect? This can either be, in my case, video production companies. In your case, B2B lead generation experts, CEOs, whatever. And then when you have identified this, like sleep over this information for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. And then what I suggest is partner with somebody either on your work or from your business life to have this accountability for 30 days and say, hey, this is my superpower. I want to connect with these people. I listened to the podcast interview of these crazy guys who gave us good information. Can you just be supportive when I will feel overwhelmed? Because what will happen when we start to apply this information, people feel overwhelmed for maybe a couple of hours or a couple of days. But when you stretch this information chunk it down through 4 weeks or 2 months, results will be boom. So define your superpower. With whom do you want to connect with? Partner with somebody so that somebody can say to you, hey, don't exaggerate, slow down, take a couple of deep breaths, and just ask yourself, okay, how many connections do you need to do per day? And then start with, let's say, 5 connections per day. Okay, in your case, let's go back. My superpower is creating content. I want to connect with lawyers. Go to LinkedIn and find 5 lawyers. And then just connect with these 5 lawyers, send 5 messages stating, hey, notice that you are a lawyer. Here's a free resources how you can get more leads through content. Stop. 5, and then you will see after maybe a week or 2, you will do 10, 20, 50, because when you start to feel okay, people are responding back, I feel good, I'm helping people, I enjoy doing this, applying my superpower, then within what I have seen through my experience, within 3 weeks, you can either do 20 or 25 people per day easily. If you want, of course. If you don't, if you have enough time to get this, if you need to do service delivery, or maybe you're at a job where you need to do a lot of other things, then, maybe it will be 10 or 15. And so to simplify it once more, define your superpower. With whom do you want to connect with? Partner with somebody to have this social support, and then start with 5 connections per day. And then if you get stuck after, let's say, you don't do this for 7 days, and then these thoughts start to come, I'm a failure, blah, blah, blah. Just put yourself into a position where you just have 5 deep breaths. Clear out your head, and then do 5 tomorrow. And if somebody applies this, I can guarantee from my personal example, results will come.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Marco. We'll have a link to your LinkedIn profile. Is there anywhere else that you would recommend people go to connect with you or discover more?
Yeah, sure. You can go on unitymethod.com.
Right, that's your website.
unitedmethod.com. Yeah. So basically, there you will find a free video case study, which actually which gives a little bit less information about what we have spoken right now, but which is really specifically tailored to people who want to consistently get up to 200 social connections per month. And yet, LinkedIn or my website, if you need any help, reach out to me. I will gladly help connect you with whatever, with whom I can, because like I said, I really appreciate your podcast and your audience. And I really, so this is a compliment from my heart and soul to you, because, and to your audience, so that they know that their host is really an awesome guy. Your mission is really amazing, because teaching people how to have predictable B2B success. This is something which, okay, helps you in terms of money, revenue, profitability. But at the end of the day, I really love when I say these things. It really gives you even more safety in your personal life. Because if you know that you have predictability in business, then when you come back to your home, your kids, your wife, or your close friends, you'll feel more safe, more relaxed, more secure. So what I really urge your audience, really ask yourself how this podcast can really help you, how you can apply it, because I read your story and some other interviews, and this is something which I don't come often. So thumbs up for great mission and great content that you provide.
No worries. Thank you so much. It's an honor hearing that. Marco, is there anything else that I should have asked but didn't ask that you feel that we should cover?
Just give me 30 seconds.
Sure.
Superpower, dream client, connecting with people, the connection profile. Maybe one more thing, which is maybe crucial for building this consistency thing, which is basically how to deal with, for example, if you don't get any replies or you don't get any engagement on your content, on your messages, what to do then? Because I have seen also through my experience, this is something which paralyzes people, because if you don't get a response within 5 to 7 days, then I'm a failure. You are not. Yeah. It just takes time. So maybe this is another thing maybe that we can cover, so people maybe just get also this long-term picture of in business. Through my experience, what I have realized, and my host can also relate, I feel, sometimes today we are living in this age where there is so much information and we are accustomed to getting rewards immediately. But in business, for example, this is not the case. Maybe sometimes you need a couple of days, weeks, or even a month to see results. So if after applying this information, you maybe sometimes feel less motivated, inspired, empowered, that you not see results, just always go back on your superpower. Always go back on this first file, read who's your favorite movie character, and just ask yourself one thing: what will he do in this situation? And the answer will always be, move forward, baby, move forward. Because with this technology and so much applications and social media out there, it's actually quite easy to get discouraged if something is not working immediately. So just wanted to address this, because I feel that in the future this is going to be one of the biggest challenges which younger generations will have. So it's good to address it right now, so that we hopefully make a better place for the future generations.
Excellent. There's a lot of gold in this episode. Thanks so much, Marco.
You're welcome. It was really an awesome to be interviewed by you.